Switching the stage around a bit, I'd just like to ask you if you would please switch off your mobile phones or at least put them on silent, and we'll start in just a minute. I'm Adrienne Loftus-Parkins, and I'm honored to be here as part of the steering committee of this fantastic literary prize. We're all assembled this evening for the award ceremony of the prestigious DSC Prize for South Asian Literature 2018. On behalf of the prize judges, the steering committee, and the whole DSC Prize team, I'd like to say how delighted we are to be here at the Tata Steel Kolkata Literary Meet to award the prize for this year. Thank you to Malavika and her team for the warm welcome and for making our stay in Kolkata so enjoyable. We're really thrilled that so many of you are here this evening in the audience to join us in the celebration of some of the best storytelling from some of the world's finest wordsmiths. To start the evening, I'd like to welcome our chief guest, eminent Indian author Ruskin Bond. We're greatly honored to have him here with us to present the prize on behalf of the DSC Prize founders, Serena Narula and Manu Narula, and the DSC chairman, Mr. H.S. Narula. I'd also like to welcome the prize judges and the shortlisted author and translator who were able to join us this evening. Now, tonight is about storytelling, the best storytelling in the world with a South Asian theme. In a moment, we'll hear from some of the key people involved in the DSC Prize. But first, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the prize itself. The DSC Prize was founded in 2010, and over the last 8 years, it's grown to become the leading international prize for rewarding South Asian writing and showcasing it to the world. The winner receives $25,000 US thanks to the considerable generosity of the DSC Group, a global infrastructure company. Writers don't have to be South Asian to qualify. The criteria states that the subject of the writing must in some way be about South Asia. Our vision is to reward the very best writing about the South Asian region, defined as the following 9 countries: Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, the Maldives, Myanmar, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. The prize reflects the region in a physical way, too, because the DSC Prize award ceremony is held in various South Asian countries by rotation. So in 2016, the winner was announced in Galle, Sri Lanka, and in 2017 in Dhaka, Bangladesh. And this year, of course, we're delighted to be here in Kolkata. Next year, we'll be in another South Asian country to award the 2019 DSC Prize. Finally, and importantly, the prize encourages writing in regional languages with translations. If a translated work wins, the prize money will be shared equally between the author and the translator. Now, I'd like to introduce Malavika Banerjee, director of the Tata Steel Kolkata Literary Meet, to say a few words. Malavika?
Good evening, everybody. When my generation was growing up, literature for us was very similar to that which Anand, the character in Naipaul's book House for Mr. Biswas, read. It was removed, it was British, sometimes American, and it didn't speak about our reality. South Asian literature changed all of that. So I thank the DSC Prize South Asian Literature for celebrating this new region of writing that it opened to my generation. And it's a great pleasure for us to host you all. Welcome to the judges, and may the best book win.
Thank you, Malavika. Administered by the South Asian Literature Prize, Events and Trust, the DSC Prize has helped to raise the profile of South Asian writing worldwide. This year, the prize received a record 88 entries from 46 countries, from 46 publishers around the world. These included submissions from a diverse mix of authors writing on a wide range of issues and themes. The novels included stunning portrayals of migration, war, and displacement, poignant love stories, the exploration of new relationships and identities, and interpretations of the personal struggles, hopes, and aspirations that symbolize the realities of contemporary South Asian life. When Serena Narula and Manu Narula founded the DSC Prize in 2010, they aimed to create a truly global prize that celebrates and showcases the work of authors who are passionate about South Asia, irrespective of their ethnicity, and to present the immense talent writing about this region to a worldwide audience. They were able to do this with the assistance of the DSC Group, whose chairman is H.S. Narula. The DSC Group has global businesses in infrastructure, hotels, trading, real estate, and retailing. It's Mr. Narula's vision that's led the DSC Group's long-term and unwavering support to the cause of literature, especially South Asian literature. As one of the founders of the DSC Prize, Mrs. Serena Narula is on the prize's advisory committee and spearheads the literary and philanthropic initiatives of the group. Serena is a UK and India-based businesswoman and philanthropic fundraiser. She's a trustee of Television for Environment and is founder and patron of the Consortium for Street Children. She's also the founder sponsor and advisor of the Jaipur Literature Festival. In 2012, Serena founded the TVE Global Sustainability Film Awards, and in 2016, she founded the policy-focused Difficult Dialogues. She was awarded the UK's Asian of the Year Award in 2005 and an MBE for her charitable work in India. Could I now invite Serena Narula and H.S. Narula to the stage while we show a short AV about the prize.
DSC, principal sponsor of the Jaipur Literature Festival till 2013, also founded the DSC Prize in 2010 to celebrate the rich and varied world of South Asian literature.
This prize goes a long way towards encouraging South Asian literature, which in turn, in English, encourages people in this country to understand what we all are going through.
DSC Prize is an effort to not just recognize and reward writers, but to also be a vibrant and dynamic platform for moving and thought-provoking storytelling and be more inclusive in encouraging literary achievements.
The South Asia Center is extremely proud of being associated with the shortlist announcement. This is the 5th year that we are doing this together.
So it was a very rewarding experience, and also the exposure to talent. And this brings to focus the very important point about translations. This is the only access point that regional language literature is emerging out of India.
Serena, could I now invite you to say a few words about the prize?
A very good evening to all of you. I want to begin by thanking Malavika for inviting us to this festival. It's been absolutely amazing. It's really a great festival. Thank you, Malavika. Thank you to Malavika's team for inviting us here. And you've really showered us with great hospitality. Thank you so much. We hope to come back again one day. We try and take the prize outside India 1 year. At least we've done it for 2 years, and then come back maybe, and then go out again to the other South Asian countries. I also want to just shortly touch on why South Asian literature. South Asian literature is not new. It's been there for centuries, and the reason why we want to award it now, especially the English writings of South Asian literature and translations, because I live in London, and I've been there for the last 30 years. And every time I have to explain, what is this arranged marriage? What is this sacrifice you all talk of? And Sita, I mean, come on, she was such a demure woman. And what is this and what's that? And they all look at us like, you know, where have these people come from? So I think it's very important. I mean, so many of us live in England. In fact, just now I was interviewed on Sky News, and just before the interview, the gentleman looked at me and said, can you explain what is this South Asian literature? Why do I need to read it? So I said, listen, just look out. This lady who came in was from Bangladesh. The gentleman behind the camera is Indian. The guy who's sitting outside receiving us is from Pakistan. Don't you want to understand who these people are? Where they're coming from? And that woman in the hijab who just came in as well. You know, they wear the hijabs in the television centers everywhere. So I said, don't you want to know why she's wearing it? I said, if you want to understand any of these people who are around you, please read South Asian literature. And we made it very easy for you. We are translating it into English for you so that you all can read it and see where we are coming from, who we are, what we are. So that's the reason why South Asian literature. And in English, and the fact that we've got translations is the very reason that you know, we want to recognize the fact that some great writing comes in local regional languages, and if it's translated, we understand better the nuances. And actually, the job of the translator is very hard, because to get an Indian sort of cultural nuance in English, there are some words that can't be translated. I mean, I know a lot of Punjabi words that I know I cannot even explain what they mean. So if a translator can get it right in English, I mean, they need to be rewarded. So I think this is why this also is important that we give the prize to the translators. Where the prize is going to go from here, we've set up a trust, which is called the South Asian Literature Trust. And slowly, we are hoping that eventually that will continue to give the prize even after we are gone. So we've set that trust up, and we are also doing outreach programs with it. We ask our authors, winners, others, shortlisted authors to go out to the slums and talk to the children, tell them stories. So we are doing other things with literature. So that's the reason why and where we are going with the prize. And I must thank my team. They have been absolutely amazing. Boshab Day, who's been really working through the year, contacting the jury members, getting them, sending them all the information. And Ritu Bose and Amrita Bhalla. And of course, Lily Narula, she's sitting in the audience there. And of course, our MC today, Adrian. So they all have worked very hard, and I need to thank them. And I also thank, last but not the least, my husband, who sponsors this award. Thanks to my husband. And thank you to all of you for making an effort for coming here tonight. Thank you to the jury for working so hard and going through 80 books. It's not easy. And thank you to the writers for being here. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Serena. I'd now like to introduce the judges of this year's prize and invite them to come to the stage one by one. They've had a truly monumental task over the past few months, with days and nights of reading, discussing, deliberating to bring those initial 88 eligible entries down to one winner. Heading up the jury is Rudrangshu Mukherjee, jury chair. He's professor of history and chancellor of Ashoka University and an internationally acclaimed historian of the revolt of 1857 in India. Nandana Sen, writer, actor, child rights activist, and author of 6 books, who's worked as an editor, translator, screenwriter, and script doctor. Claire Armitstead, associate editor of culture for The Guardian, trustee of English Pen, and editor of an anthology of fiction, poetry, and nonfiction about contemporary London. Tisa Jayatilaka, former executive director of the binational United States Sri Lanka Fulbright Commission. He's an author, translator, and editor of journals and collections of essays. And finally, Firdaus Azim, professor of English at Brak University, Bangladesh, a feminist writer whose research has focused on women's writing in early 20th century Bengal. Now, I'd like to invite the chair, Rudrangshu Mukherjee, to say a few words about South Asian writing, the DSC Prize, and the jury experience.
Mr. and Mrs. Narula, Malavika, Banerjee, ladies and gentlemen. Sometime in the second half of July last year, the 5 of us, members of the jury, received a very large carton of books, 87 in number. I can't say for the other 4 of my colleagues, but I hadn't quite prepared myself for the uphill task that I had taken on when I had accepted to be a member of the jury of the DSC Prize. But since then, July 2018 till yesterday morning, it has been one long, exhilarating, and at times exasperating journey of reading. We have read some very, very fine books. Books that we wouldn't have read at this speed and at this intensity. We probably would have read it at some point of time, all of us being avid readers, but there was a concentrated reading of about 6 months or less in which we had to read some very, very fine writing. And this evening we will have to announce one book, one author, which we think is the best out of that 87. But before that, we made a long list of 16 books from the 87. And in November last year, we met in London to make a short list of 5. And we met yesterday morning to pick one book out of that 6, a short list of 6. And we picked one book that we will be announcing very, very soon. As Mrs. Narula said, South Asian literature, South Asian writing is not something new. It has existed for some time, and most of South Asian writing is actually not in English. So I think the DSC Prize is unique, and it's wonderful that it recognizes also the acts of translation, books that have been translated from the regional languages into English, and they are eligible for this prize. So in this sense, the DSC Prize is rather unique, and all the welcome for it. And we are all very, very grateful to the writers and to the sponsors of this prize for enabling us to have this very, very enriching experience. And thank you for being here.
Thank you, Rudrangshu. Now let's recap by taking a look at the books that have been shortlisted for the DSC Prize 2018. The shortlisted books are No Presents, Please by Jayant Kakini, translated by Tejaswini Niranjana, Harper Perennial, HarperCollins, India. Home Fire by Kamala Shamsi, Riverhead Books, USA, and Bloomsbury, UK. Miss Layla, Armed and Dangerous by Manu Joseph, Fourth Estate, HarperCollins, India. Exit West by Mohsin Hamid, Riverhead Books, USA, and Hamish Hamilton, Penguin Random House, India. A State of Freedom by Neil Mukherjee, Chatto & Windus, Vintage UK, and Hamish Hamilton, Penguin Random House, India. Harilal and Sons by Suji Serif, Speaking Tiger, India. I'd now like to ask each author to come to the stage to read a short excerpt of their books, after which Serena Narula will present each of the finalists with a memo of appreciation. Starting with Jayant Kakini, author of No Presents, Please, who will read in Kannada, and translator Tejaswini Niranjana will read in English. Please join us on the stage.
Namaskar. Good evening. I'm very happy to be here. I mean, such great minds, and I congratulate all fellow writers who have been in this, all 86 writers, and even beyond that, whose books have not been on the list, because they're all together doing something very, a kind of a collective mind is being created through literature. So I'll read 2 paragraphs from my story, which is No Presents, Please in Kannada. Except my wife, I think nobody will understand this here. Anyway. ಸೇತುವೆಯ ಮೇಲೆಲ್ಲೋ ಲಾರಿಯೊಂದು ಬಂದು ತನ್ನ ಹಿಂಭಾಗವನ್ನೆತ್ತಿ ಉಸುಕಿನ ಮಳೆಯನ್ನು ಸುರಿಸುತ್ತಿರುವಾಗ ಕೆಳಗೆಲ್ಲೋ ಕಲ್ಲುಗಳ ಪಕ್ಕ ಕೂತು ಇಬ್ಬರೂ ತದೇಕ ಚಿತ್ತರಾಗಿ ಈ ತಿಳಿ ಗುಲಾಬಿ ಕೋರಾ ಕಾರ್ಡನ್ನು ನೋಡಿದರು. ಭಾವಿ ವೈವಾಹಿಕ ಜೀವನದ ನಿಗೂಢ ರಹಸ್ಯವೊಂದನ್ನು ಬಚ್ಚಿಟ್ಟುಕೊಂಡು ಸಣ್ಣಗೆ ಬೆದರಿಸುವಂತೆ ಆ ಪುಟ್ಟ ಕಾಗದ ಅವರನ್ನು ನೋಡುತ್ತಿತ್ತು. ಜತೆಯಾಗಿ ಕಬ್ಬಿನ ರಸ ಕುಡಿದದ್ದು, ಅಪವೇಳೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಳು ಸುರಿಯುವ ಉಪನದಲ್ಲಿ ಪೆದ್ದು ಪೆದ್ದಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡುತ್ತಾ ನಡೆದದ್ದು, ಅವಳು ಲೇಡೀಸ್ ಕಂಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೇನೆಂದರೂ ಬೇಡ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಬಾ ಎಂದು ಜನರಲ್ ಕಂಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಕರೆದು ಇಬ್ಬರನ್ನು ಮಸಿದು ತಿನ್ನುವ ಜನದಟ್ಟಣೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅವಳ ಅಧಿನಾಯಕನಂತೆ ಅವಳನ್ನು ಬಳಸಿಕೊಂಡು ನಿಂತಿದ್ದು, ನೀನು ಸೂಟು ಸಫಾರಿ ಹಾಕೋದಾದರೆ ನನಗೆ ಮದುವೆನೇ ಬೇಡ ಎಂದು ಬಸ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಅವಳು ರಂಪ ತೆಗೆದಿದ್ದು, ಜಗದೇಕ ವೀರನಂತೆ ಅವಳಿಗಾಗಿ ಬೆಂಡೋಲೆ ಆಯುವಾಗ ಬಜೆಟ್ಟಿನ ಆಚಿನಗಿನದನ್ನೇ ತೋರಿಸಿ ಹೀಯಾಳಿಸುವವನಂತೆ ಆ ಸೇಲ್ಸ್ಮನ್ ನೀಚ ನಗೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಟ್ಟಿಸುವಾಗ ಅವನ ಮೂಕ ಸಂಕಟ ಅರಿತವಳಂತೆ, ಛೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ಇದು, ಇಷ್ಟು ದುಬಾರಿ ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕೆ ತಲೆ ಕೆಟ್ಟಿದೆಯೇ ಎಂದು ಸೆಕೆಂಡಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಶಾಪ ವಿಮೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವಳು ಅಂಗಡಿಯಿಂದ ಅವನನ್ನು ಹೊರಗೆಳೆದು ತಂದಿದ್ದು. ಇಂಥವೆಲ್ಲ ಬಿಡಿ ಬಿಡಿ ಚಿತ್ರಗಳಿಗೊಂದು ವಿಚಿತ್ರವಾದ ಭಾರವಾದ ಹಗ್ಗವನ್ನು ಕಟ್ಟಲು ತಯಾರಾಗಿರುವ ಈ ಲಗ್ನ ಪತ್ರಿಕೆ ಸಮಾಜದ ನಿರ್ದಯ ನಿಯಮದಂತೆ ತೋರತೊಡಗಿತು. ಮುಚ್ಚಿದ ಕೋಟೆಯ ಬಾಗಿಲಿನಂತೆ ಅದು ಇಬ್ಬರಿಗೂ ಪ್ರತ್ಯೇಕವಾಗಿ ನೋಡಿ ನೋಡಿ ಯೋಚಿಸಿ ಎಂದು ಹೇಳುತ್ತಿತ್ತು. ಇಬ್ಬರ ಗೆಳೆಯ ಗೆಳತಿಯರ ಬಳಗ ಸೇರಿದರೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚೆಂದರೆ 100. ಆದರೆ 100 ಲಗ್ನ ಪತ್ರಿಕೆಗಳನ್ನು ಅಚ್ಚು ಹಾಕಿದರೂ 300 ಪತ್ರಿಕೆಗಳ ದುಡ್ಡನ್ನೇ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. ಹೀಗಾಗಿ 300 ಹಾಕಿಸಿಬಿಡಿ ಎಂದು ಪ್ರೆಸ್ನವರ ಸಲಹೆ. ಏನು ಮಾಡುವುದು, ಯಾರ್ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಹಂಚುವುದು ಎಂಬ ಗಂಭೀರ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಯೂ ಎದುರಿಗೆ ಬರುವುದಿತ್ತು. ಈ ಲಗ್ನ ಪತ್ರಿಕೆಯ ನೆಪದಿಂದಲೇ ಬಂಧು ಬಳಗ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳುವ ಒಂದು ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆ ಇತ್ತು. ಪಾನ್ವಾಲ, ಇಸ್ತ್ರಿವಾಲ, ಉಪವನಗಳ ಚೌಕಿದಾರರು, ದೊಡ್ಡ ಹೋಟೆಲ್ಲುಗಳ ಹೂದಾನಿಗಳ ನಿನ್ನೆಯ ಹಳಸಿದ ಹೂಗಳನ್ನು ಸೋವಿದರಕ್ಕೆ ಫುಟ್ಪಾತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗ್ನಲ್ಲಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾರುವ ಹುಡುಗರು, ಹೀಗೆ ಇವರೆಲ್ಲ ಎಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ವರ್ಷಗಳಿಂದ ಗೊತ್ತಿರದೆಯೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ದಂತಿದ್ದವರು ಅಥವಾ ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ದು ಗೊತ್ತಿರದಂತಿದ್ದವರು, ಇವರೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಣ ರೇಖೆಯ ಆಚೆಗಿದ್ದೇ ಹಲ್ಲುಗಿಂಜುವವರು. ಒಂದು ಕಾರ್ಡು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇ ಅವರು ಇಸ್ತ್ರಿಯ ಹಂಗೆ ಹಾಕಿಕೊಂಡು ರೇಖೆಯ ಈಚೆ ಬಂದುಬಿಟ್ಟು ಕೈ ಕುಲುಕಿ ಬಳಗದವರಾಗಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಹೋಗಿಬಿಡಬಹುದು. ಕೆಲಸಕ್ಕೆ ಹೊರಟ ಹೆಂಗಸರು ತಮ್ಮ ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನು ನಮ್ಮ ಖೋಲಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗಲಾರಂಭಿಸಬಹುದು. ಅಥವಾ ನಮಗೆ ಬೇರೆ ಮದುವೆಗೆ ಇನ್ವಿಟೇಷನ್ ಬರಬಹುದು. ಹೊಸ ಉಡುಪು ಹಾಕಿ 2 ರೈಲು 2 ಬಸ್ಸು ಬದಲಿಸಿ ಯಾವುದೋ ಪೆಂಡಾಲಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಕಬ್ಬಿಣದ ಕುರ್ಚಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅಪರಿಚಿತರ ಮಧ್ಯ ಆಕಳಿಸಿ, ಅಪರಿಚಿತರಿಂದ ಊಟ ಬಡಿಸಿಕೊಂಡು, ಅಪರಿಚಿತರಿಂದ ಕೈ ತೊಳೆಯಲು ಮಗ್ಗು ಇಸಿದುಕೊಂಡು ಎಲೆ ಅಡಿಕೆ ಮೆಲ್ಲುತ್ತಾ ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಟಾಟಾ ಹೇಳದೆ ಮನೆಗೆ ಮರಳುವುದು. ಯಾವುದು ಬಂಧು ಬಳಗ, ಯಾವುದು ಅಲ್ಲ. ನಮಸ್ತೆ.
A great pleasure to be here. Jayant forgot to mention there's one more person in the audience who can understand what he reads, namely myself. This is the story of 2 young people, orphans in Bombay, who decide to get married, and they've selected an invitation card that they're going to print. So this is how the story unfolds. On the bridge above, a truck raised its rear and poured out a load of sand. Below, the 2 sat amidst the stones, gazing with concentration at the pale pink card. The card looked back at them, giving them a small fright, as though it hid a mysterious secret about their future wedded life. Scenes flashed past. Drinking sugarcane juice together, walking through lonely parks, talking loving nonsense, her wanting to travel in the ladies' compartment, and his insisting on her coming into the general and putting his arm around her in that hostile crowd, her making a scene at the bus stop, saying that she wouldn't marry him if he wore a safari suit, her walking out of the shop where a salesman had taunted him with earrings way beyond his budget, her saying they were not good enough for that price, and thus freeing him from a spell. These scattered images were now going to be tied together by a heavy rope, the pink card mirroring this merciless law of society. Like a closed fortress door, the card seemed to be telling them, look, think. If they counted all their friends on both sides, the number would probably be 100. But even if they printed only 100 invitations, they would still have to pay for 300, which is why the friend at the press had told them that they might as well print the higher number. A serious problem faced them. What would they do with the remaining cards? Who would they give them to? It was possible that they could increase their circle of friends and relatives by giving out the cards to the panwala, the istriwala, the guard in the park, the boys who stood at signals selling stale flowers they took from yesterday's arrangements in the big hotels. All the people one knew over the years without knowing them, or knew but did not really know, those who smiled from beyond a Lakshman Rekha. With the card, they might come wearing iron clothes, cross the line, shake hands with the bride and groom, and go back across the line again. The working women might start leaving their small children in their rented rooms. They might get invited to other people's weddings. Wearing new clothes, you might change buses and trains, sit yawning on metal folding chairs in a pandal somewhere amid strangers, have other strangers ladling food onto your plate, take a mug of water from another stranger to wash your hands, chew your betel leaf and nut, and leave quietly without saying goodbye to anyone. So who was kin and friend, and who was not? Thank you.
Tejaswini, if you could stay on stage to be presented with a memento. And Jayant, are you there? Please, please. Thank you. Our next shortlisted book is Home Fire by Kamala Shamsi. Kamala could not be with us this evening, so DSC Prize jurist Nandana Sen will read from Home Fire.
It was not a possibility her mind knew how to contain. Everyone else in the world, yes. Everyone else in the world, inescapably. Some in stages, their grandfather, for weeks half paralyzed, unable to speak, even his breath unfamiliar. Some in a thunderclap, their mother dropping dead on the floor of the travel agency where she worked, leaving behind the morning's teacup with her lipstick on the rim, treasured until the day one of the twins stood up in a rage and swung the cup by its handle, smashing their mother's mouth. Anika thought it was her. Parvez insisted it was him. Some in a sleight of hand, their grandmother, awaiting the test results that they had already decided would be presented as a death sentence, crossing the road as a drunk driver took a turn too fast. The doctor called 2 weeks later with the good news that the tumor was benign. Some as abstraction. Their father, never a living presence in their life, dead for years before they knew to attach that word to him. Everyone died, everyone but the twins, who looked at each other to understand their own grief. Grief manifested itself in ways that felt like anything but grief. Grief obliterated all feelings but grief. Grief made a twin wear the same shirt for days on end to preserve the morning on which the dead were still living. Grief made a twin peel stars off the ceiling and lie in bed with glowing points adhered to fingertips. Grief was bad-tempered. Grief was kind. Grief saw nothing but itself. Grief saw every speck of pain in the world. Grief spread its wings large, like an eagle. Thank you.
Thank you, Nandana. The next finalist is Manu Joseph, who will join us on stage to read from Miss Layla, Armed and Dangerous.
Good evening. A literary prize is an act of war against all novelists except the one who wins it. Even so, I'm very glad to be here. I'm very proud to be on the shortlist. There are faces only an Indian can make. In the short life of 28 years, Mukundan has never breathed the air of any other nation, but he knows there are faces only an Indian can make. Like that baffled face when he is shocked by the most rational outcome of his own actions. He crosses the road like a cow and he is startled by a truck. A vehicle on the road? How? He walks across the railway track and he finds a train hurtling towards him. A train on a railway track? He is stunned. Cops who do not wear bulletproof vests break into a house to fight militants, and they are shot in their paunches. They stagger out, looking bewildered. That baffled face when boys fall off trains because they were dangling from the doorways, when illegal homes built on infirm soil collapse, when pilgrims are squashed in annual stampedes inside narrow temples. But then the foes of the Republic, too, are delivered the face. Sooner or later, they all find it. Enemies of humanity, criminals, psychotics. The Republic is a giant prank. It lures all into believing that they can do anything and get away. And they do get away with a lot, but then one day, inevitably, surprise. Thank you.
Thank you, Manu. Next on the short list is Exit West. Mohsen Hamid could not be here this evening, so jurist Claire Armitstead will read from his book.
Saeed's father then summoned Nadia into his room and spoke to her without Saeed and said that he was entrusting her with his son's life, and she, whom he called daughter, must, like a daughter, not fail him, whom she called father. And she must see Saeed through to safety, and he hoped that she would one day marry his son and be called mother by his grandchildren. But it was up to them to decide, and all he asked was that she remain by Saeed's side until Saeed was out of danger. And he asked her to promise this to him, and she said that she would promise only if Saeed's father came with them. And he said again that he could not, but that they must go. He said it softly, like a prayer. And she sat there with him in silence, and the minutes passed. And in the end she promised, and it was an easy promise to make, because she had at the time no thoughts of leaving Saeed. But it was also a difficult one, because in making it she felt that she was abandoning the old man. And even if he did have his siblings and his cousins, and might now go on to live with them or to have them come to live with him, they could not protect him as Saeed and Nadia could. And so, by making the promise he demanded she make, he was, in a sense, killing him. But that is the way of things, for when we migrate, we murder from our lives those we leave behind. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Our fifth shortlisted book is A State of Freedom by Neil Mukherjee. Neil also was unable to come this evening, so DSC Prize Steering Committee member Amrita Bala will read from his book.
I selected this passage keeping in mind our celebration of South Asian literature. South Asian literature written in English, South Asian literature translated into English. We've certainly come a long way from Macaulay's English, from our Renan Martin English, and I chose this passage in particular to celebrate ourselves, Indians writing in English, South Asian literature in English. Jishnu Da was going to return the following day to take me back to Calcutta. The car, conspicuous in a place like this, had brought out people, mostly men and children, who stood gawping with undisguised curiosity. Some of the bolder children came forward and gathered close to the car, looking at me unblinkingly. An old man at the door of a one-story building, brick house, about 20 feet from where we were parked, called out to Shankar and said something I couldn't catch. Shankar said, "Na, Pishi's people, he has come from Calcutta. He lives in London." "Are na," I said, "he's from London." "That's very far away. Ask him if he has come by ship or plane." I was desperately trying not to look at Shankar's face. The boy, he couldn't have been more than 12, whom he had asked to carry my bag, was sent ahead of us with my backpack. I fixed what I thought was a blandly pleasant and interested look on my face and followed Shankar. I could hear the boys behind us getting a bit manic. One of them broke into completely unintelligible chatter in a non-language, which I later understood was his attempt, maybe, to imitate English. Two of them started to sing a current Hindi film song that featured a phrase of English, "Will you be my chamak challo?" But they sang the first 4 words as an orally appropriate gobbledygook. They kept saying hello repeatedly and breaking into giggles. The word began to soar through my right temple, which had started throbbing.
Thank you, Amrita. Our final 2018 shortlisted book is Harilal and Sons by Sujit Saraf. Suji, could you please join us on stage?
I will read a letter written by my 12-year-old protagonist, he's 12 at the time, Harilal, to his father, Duli Chand. It is in November 1899, but the dates referred to in the letter are in Vikram Samvat, Hindu calendar, so they'll be different. But it's November 1899. In July 1899, he traveled from Shekhawati in Rajasthan to Calcutta, and this is his first letter to his father. Harilal from the town of Kolkata touches the feet of Sri Duli Chandji Tibrewal in the auspicious town of Rampura. I have not been able to find anyone going to Shekhawati because Diwali has just passed. Festival season is the busiest time for the firm and no one wants to waste it on travel. So I will have to pay 1 paisa postage for this letter. Please ask Masterji to disregard my poor hand. The message will not extend beyond the end of the postcard. Rains have now ended in Kolkata, but Bada Bazaar is still full of puddles of water and the lanes are paved unevenly with cobblestones. People eat rice. They think bajra is coarse and no one would ever think of eating guar. I have no cause to complain of my time here. Khemchandji gives me 10 rupees every month, of which I spend 1 rupee on milk. I think you will agree that milk is not an indulgence at my age. The basa costs 4 rupees. Once a week, they put ghee on my roti for a paisa. Twice a week, I drink pineapple juice, spending a total of half an anna a month. Once a month, I eat a mango for 2 paisa and some kacholis for a paisa. Mornings have now become chilly, so I have asked the servant for hot water for my bath. He takes a pai and provides a bucket full, but I am able to increase it by mixing cold water until it is just warm enough. Last month, I had a tailor make me a new kurta and bought a cotton dhoti for 6 annas from a shop recommended by Hemrajji, who understands the rates in Kolkata. In total, I am able to save 8 annas every month. I do not loiter outside Lal Godam, do not waste my time with Bengalis, and I have not spoken once to an English sahib. I keep good accounts, obey Khemchandji, and show respect to all clerks and munims in Lal Godam. The rest is in the hands of Ramji. On this Kartik Sudhi Teras, in the Vikram Samvat year of 1956, please assure Master Bhola Ramji that I have made no attempt to learn English dates in Kolkata. Thank you.
Thank you, Suji. It's now time to introduce our chief guest, Mr. Ruskin Bond. Mr. Bond is an award-winning Indian author, much renowned and loved for his role in promoting children's literature in India. He's written over 500 short stories, essays, and novellas, and more than 50 books for children. His first novel, written when he was only 17, received the John Llewellyn Rhys Memorial Prize in 1957. He's received the Sahitya Akademi Award, the Padma Shri, the Padma Bhushan, the Sahitya Akademi's Bal Sahitya Puraskar Awards. Mr. Bond, could I invite you to say a few words to the audience?
Well, thank you for giving me this honor. It is an honor. And apart from receiving an award, the next best thing is giving one away. And though I'd presently prefer to receive them, but I think for these awards, we owe a lot here to Serena and H.S. Narula. I believe she makes out the checks and he signs them, or it could be the other way around. Every writer, I think every writer needs a pat on the back now and then. And no, there's nothing better than a fat check, maybe, comprising that pat on the back. So an award such as this, which is a very generous one compared to many other awards, it's a large sum of money, and I'm sure it will enable the winner to go on and write another book or two before he runs out of cash. So because writing for a living is a long and arduous process, as I know, but it's worthwhile in the long run. And you see, many good books might receive critical acclaim, but they may not bring in much money. You know, they may not be financial successes. And on the other hand, sometimes the more popular romances are the ones that make all the money. So it's really good that you have a South Asian Literary Prize, which is here to not just encourage and support Indian writers, but writers from all over Asia, from South Asia, and particularly translated works too, because there's so much rich literature in the regional languages of India and the other countries, which doesn't really get known to the rest of the world, simply because, also partly because of a dearth of good translators, because you have to be pretty good in both languages. So I think this is a pathfinding award, and my congratulations to all those who are shortlisted and who made it here, and I wish them long and fruitful careers. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Bond. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for, the reason we're all here, to announce the winner of the DSC Prize for South Asian Literature 2018, I'd like to call on Rudrangshu Mukherjee, the chair of the jury. Rudrangshu, please don't keep us waiting any longer.
On behalf of the jury and on my behalf, it is my pleasure to announce that the DSC Prize for 2019 is being awarded to Jayant Kaikini for his book, No Presence Please, which has been translated by Tejashwini Niranjana and published by Harper Perennial. The jury members were profoundly impressed by the book's literary excellence, especially the quiet and understated style in which the author depicted vignettes of life in a rather raucous metropolis. Mumbai emerges as the protagonist of Kaikini's narrative. The ordinary people of Mumbai, in their quotidian existence, their dreams, their moments of revelations, come alive as characters. This is the Mumbai of cafes, chawls, of film posters, of movie halls, of Mumbai's alleys and byways. It captures the cauldron of life in Mumbai, and the narrative is rooted in the city's existence with all its anxieties and poignance. This is not the Mumbai that a visitor to the city usually encounters. The book's narrative structure points to the fractured reality of contemporary Mumbai and makes readers ponder the difficulties of depicting that reality through a linear narrative. No Presence Please presents a unified composite portrait of Mumbai as a city of survivors, orphans, and empathetic strangers. The book's deep humanity, combined with its deceptively light touch, makes it especially moving and rewarding. This was the combined and unanimous opinion of the jury members. This is the first time that the DSC Prize is being awarded to a translated work. In this context, the jury members would especially like to recognize the contribution of Tejashwini Niranjana for making this work available in English from the original Kannada. The translation is so seamless that it did not feel like a translation at all. It is an achievement to marvel at. The jury members would like to note that much of South Asian fiction writing is actually done in the regional languages. By awarding the prize to a translated work, the jury draws attention to this large corpus of creativity and to the act of translation itself. The jury members are in the debt of Jayant Kaikini and Tejashwini Niranjana for enriching their experience of reading and for enabling them to enter a different Mumbai. But I would be remiss, seriously remiss, if I did not offer on behalf of the jury and on my own behalf, congratulations to other writers who were on the short list, both on the short list of 6 and the long list of 16. It has been, for all 5 of us, a remarkable and a rewarding journey through the last 8 months or so. Thank you ever so much.
Mrs. Narula and Mr. Bond, could you present the award to Jayant and Tejaswini? Congratulations to you both, and I'm sure the audience would love to know what exactly you're feeling right now. Jayant?
Thank you so much. On behalf of all the writers who are in the, I don't like the word race, but still, we are all together in a journey, and I congratulate everyone. And Mr. Ruskin Bond sir said, it's a pat. I always felt, nowadays what happened, the awards and awards and awards, many youngsters, they get misled. They think that is the goal of writing. It's not the goal of writing. It's like marathon race we are running, and on certain turns and curvatures, some people are there to cheering you up, giving you limbu pani, or some orange somebody will throw, or something they will give. You eat, you drink, and smile back and keep running, because race is still on. Because if you still stand there, you can't run with shields and trophies. Luckily, it's a very light one. So it's a very lovely thing. Say, during our childhood, there were no ball pens, early 60s. There only ink pens were there. And we used to be bought one ink pen, which we have to use all through the school days. Camlin small ink pen. And that pen used to leak. The blue ink used to leak. Whatever you do, it will leak. We'll put thread, again it will leak. We'll put white paper, that will become blue, and our fingers will become blue by the end of the day after studies or school or everything. Whatever you do, that will not go. Even you clean it with Surf Excel, it will not go. But after food, it will be clean, finger will be clean. Once you have the food, the finger will be clean. So I always ask, people ask me how you get all these things. I think it's all the ink which has gone in, which is in my system. It is coming out. So we are in a very tricky times. Every time is a tricky time. But see, in small towns, all the libraries, which used to be libraries, nice books, read, unread, all library is a library. It's a nice atmosphere. The libraries have gone now. All gyms have come in the place of libraries. You go anywhere, small town, big town, there are gyms. People are obsessed with bodies. I don't say fitness is required, but at what cost? I tell people, don't just have something, do something for the mind. And books are for the mind. If you just don't worry about the mind and do just gym, you will all look like tractors or bikes. So this is the time when, again, the reading. And things have, like the change, like when Bombay, story is all about Bombay. When I went to Bombay, earlier in 70s, there used to be board in restaurants. ह्या हॉटेलचा मालक पण इथे जेवतो. Means owner of this hotel also eats here. Owner of the hotel also eats here. But now things have changed. We cook a good dish at home and we suddenly say, hotel के जैसा हुआ है ना, बहुत अच्छा हुआ है. See, parameters change. So even like the very proverbial, I always tell this with my friends, like Diwar dialogue is there, no? मेरे पास बंगला है, गाड़ी है, ये है, वो है. तेरे पास क्या है? He says, मेरे पास माँ है. But now suppose the marriage alliance is happening. Now who gets preferred? Person who has got car, bangla, bank balance, he will be preferred because he has no ma also. Ma bhi nahi hai, bolta hai wo. See, this was told by Javed ji in one function. See, things change. But I feel the journey is always absorbing and evolving. And I have that image, one image with me, that is of snake and ladder game. We all played it, snake and ladders. Evolution of human being is a big game of snake and ladder. Every new thought, every new book, every new singer, every new, this thing piece of art is a ladder. Any divisive force, all dogma, inequality, they are all snakes. So there will be so many snakes on the way, but we had Gandhiji, we had Basavanna, we had Ambedkar, we had Tagore, we had Chaplin, we had so many people, ladders we had on the way. But sometimes what happened, more we go, see the sizes keep changing. You see, when snake and ladder, as you go up, sizes of ladders are smaller. But snake sizes start growing bigger. There will be a snake on 97,000. That snake of inequality, snake of dogma, snake of divisive thing. That snake, if you get into that, it will take back straight to the Stone Age, directly. So I think this is the time the ladders should be, more, and the literature is one of the finest mode of thought. And I'm so happy, Kannada language, I have been writing in Kannada language. Thank God for you. So it's a wonderful moment, and these stories which I dedicated to Bombay, and I dedicate this moment to all my readers. There have been anonymous readers. I love those anonymous readers, They just meet somewhere and shake. Some people don't meet there because they are the ones who give life, breathing into our characters, give a chehra, give a face to our characters and take it further. So thank you, DSC Prize Committee, and thank you, the jury, and it has been wonderful experience. And I love you all. All the best, and let us hope the ladders will grow more, and the snakes will be overpowered by these ladders. Good evening and namaskar. And I thank Tejaswini.
He'd forgotten.
Yeah. I thank Tejaswini because we had a long journey together. She has been reading my things, and she was a poet. She published her first book of poetry at her age of 17. So she is basically a poet. And I always feel translation is always safest in the hands of any poet. Because poet is connected with the unsaid, untranslatable. So that's how she has picked right stories, and she has done a great job. And we didn't have much of a... In fact, people ask us, how did you collaborate? We didn't collaborate at all. That's why I think it has done well. So I thank you. And I thank the HarperCollins, the people who have published this book. And I hope it reaches more readers. Thank you.
As you can see, we're just passing this back and forth. There's a lovely moment, since we're talking about Bombay restaurants, there's a lovely moment in No Presents Please, where we read an extract from the story just now. And there's a point where the two lovers who are about to create their invitation card, suddenly he says, let's go and get, a soft drink. And Popat, the hero, is of the firm opinion that if you ask for buy two, you actually get more than if you ask for two. So we have got a buy two award. I think that's an amazing thing. It's good that it's only one. It seems like more than one award. So I'm really delighted that this distinguished jury, the truly enlightened founders of the DSC Prize, have thought to honor two people and thought also to honor the act of translation, for which I'm very, very grateful. And I would like to dedicate this moment to all translators everywhere. Without us, there would be no literature.
Just before we wrap up, I'd like to invite Mr. Narula, the chairman of the DSC group, to say a few words.
Thank you, Kolkata. I just am reminded of, throughout the evening, I was thinking of my boarding school days. And I was studying in Punjab in a boarding school. So there were all landed, people from landed families, boys who were studying with us. There was only one Bengali boy, and I was from a business background. So all the talk amongst the boys used to be how many acres you have, tractor, this thing. But this Bengali boy used to sometimes take them on and say, why are you guys only talking in terms of land and agriculture? There's something called as literature. And they said, literature, it doesn't do you any good. But it doesn't fill up your stomach. But I just kind of used to relate with him more. And now, years later, I think as we started our journey with the Jaipur Literature Festival, and now, I think he was, at that young age, I understood that the meaning of literature, it is like a thread which runs through the society. And it binds the society, it bonds the society. So this is why we continue to do what we are doing for the DSC Prize. And I was hoping that Malavika will have it very difficult to have a literature festival in Kolkata, because years and years I have learned that every Bengali in himself is a festival. He doesn't want to he doesn't want to believe that others are there. But congratulations, Malavika, for what you have done and the hospitality that you have shown. We are very proud of being here. And thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Just before we end our very special evening, I'd like to say a few words of thanks. Sorry. On behalf of the DSC Prize, I'd like to offer a huge thank you to the judges, to the 46 publishers worldwide who submitted so many exceptional works, to the translators, and of course to the authors who wrote those 88 books and shared their immense talent and wonderful stories with us. Thank you to the British Council for their support in the UK and here. Further heartfelt thanks go to the Tata Steel Kolkata Literary Meet for hosting us, and to Mr. Ruskin Bond for his time. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank the DSC group for its vital and passionate commitment to the goal of bringing the writing about South Asia to a larger international audience. And before we close, I'd like to ask the press to join the winners, the author and translator, and the DSC Prize officials at the author's room just off to my left for media interaction, followed by one-on-one interviews. Thank you all for being here to help us celebrate South Asian literature this evening and our talented winner. Good evening.
Thank you so much. It has indeed been an honor not only for Kalam, Tata Steel Kolkata Literary Meet 2019, but for the city of Kolkata to have hosted the DSC Prize for South Asian Literature 2018. And a very big congratulations to not only the winners, but to the shortlisted authors, two of whom are here and have enriched us with their insights in 2 sessions, and those who aren't. It's time now for me to move on to the next session, to announce the next session. Amra shobai kobi. Srijato, Angshuman Kor, and Chandril Bhattacharya on being poets when social media turns everyone into published bards and literary critics. This is a session that's brought to you by SoftBank. Quick 1 line, 2 lines of introduction, though in Kolkata, none of them really need one, but for those of us here who are not familiar with their work and our panelists and our other guests, Srijato is one of Bengal's most popular contemporary poets and lyricists. He is the author of several books of poetry. He's also an anchor and public speaker. Kichudin age unake Zulfikare dekhao geche. Angshuman Kaur is a Bengali poet and novelist and professor of English at the Department of English and Culture Studies, University of Burdwan. Chandril Bhattacharya, I have to tell you before I read his bio, this was sent in by him and we didn't change a word. We just edited out 2 sentences, which weren't as interesting as the ones I'm going to read now. Chandril Bhattacharya is an essayist, poet, lyricist, and regularly nurtures a fantasy of becoming the greatest filmmaker on earth. But his plan is to win 2 Nobels in quick succession and use the money to fund his first film. And all of Kolkata says, good luck to you, sir. If we can please have the 3 of you on stage, along with Poroma,